Jordan and Gretzky, Serena and Ruth. Remembering great ones is easy to do. But what about the no-names who spent their whole lives long-snapping footballs and catching sack flies? They're guys, remember that guy. Remember that guy, remember that guy, remember that guy, remember that guy. They're just gonna remember some guys now.
What began on May 30th, 1982, and continues September 6th, 1995. This game, with the Angels trailing, is now in the books, and let it be said that number 8, Cal Ripken Jr., has reached Remember That Guy, the show where we mine our memories for nuggets of nostalgia about peripheral players past and present. Hello there, folks. It's me, one of your hosts, James. Still definitely a ways away from 2131, but we're taking it 1 week at a time, and as always, I've got some help here with me.
Slowly building on that streak. Diaz with you once again. And our very special guest is away on business. He's been called over to Japan, so we're bringing in a pinch hitter. It's everybody's favorite local Baltimore man, Connor Newcomb. Connor, how you doing today?
I am doing great. Right here from Baltimore, right down the street from a stadium where, if we're going to be honest, guys, a baseball game could have easily been played today. I have not seen a drop of rain fall from the sky yet today, but we're still here.
Yeah, and Diaz not far from a stadium in Philadelphia where a baseball game probably also could have been held today.
100% could have been played. And look, we're all for being responsible. We want to make sure opening day is a nice day for everybody. The weathermen got it wrong, and I think we can definitely lay all the blame at their feet.
Once again, we have been laid low by numbers and statistics. They continue to vex you, Diaz, and I do apologize for that. But Diaz, speaking of things that are vexing you, is anything making memories for you right now?
Well, it's not a vex. It's a triumphant victory. It certainly seems for all the world after his 52-point performance against the Boston Celtics. The NBA MVP seems to be settled. It looks like it's going to finally go to the big man. And it's about time. Like, I feel like when LeBron finally won his NBA Finals, it's about damn time.
It's about damn time.
That's exactly how I feel about this. He should have won last year. I understood why he didn't win the year he got injured. But I love when, you need a signature performance for a true MVP season, right? Steph Curry had bang, Curry from way downtown against the Thunder in that season. Westbrook had the buzzer-beating 3 on the night that he clinched a 30-point triple-double for the season. And Embiid goes out against our biggest nemesis, the team that, if we're going to do it in the playoffs, we're going to have to go through Boston. And just decimates them. A dominant performance, and I'm just so happy for him. I usually don't care about individual honorifics on players for my team, but Embiid is literally the process. He named himself the process. He is the only reason why the process worked. And, being a crazy Sixers fan, you wait 2 years. Think you're only gonna have to wait 1 year at first. He misses the whole second season. He has the whole tragic backstory with his brother, and he did it. It's not official yet, but it's basically official. The books have him at minus 700 now, which is a pretty strong favorite. So
careful there. We don't want to be thinking about forecasts and numbers. We've already discussed that.
This is true. Yeah, no numbers, just vibes, just tape, and just the most dominant center when healthy in the history of basketball. Truly, he is. I have no qualms about saying that. And Joel Embiid, let's keep making memories into June this year, bud. I would love an NBA Finals run. It would make me so happy.
My favorite statistic that I shared with you today is that it is admittedly only the 10th highest points per game season by center in NBA history, but not counting Wilt Chamberlain's seasons, it's third, and that sounds a whole lot better.
Well, I got to say, if you were dropped into my college roommates group chat right now, you would be kicked out in about 5 minutes because 90% of the text in that chat is about Jokic. Every single text is about Jokic. My 2 roommates love Jokic, and they have basically been pushing the narrative. Now, things have gotten a little more somber the past couple of weeks. I think they've started to realize that even if they still think he's going to be the MVP.
The walls are closing in.
Yes, they kind of feel that the voters are leaning Embiid at this point. And Jokic has already won, 1, 2 at this point? 1?
2 consecutive.
Back to back as we speak.
Yeah. So they have been pushing the narrative hard all season. There's two of them that push Jokic, and then there's me and the other roommate who don't really watch too much NBA. And then all they do is push Jokic highlights to each other for like an hour straight. And they're like, Brian and Connor, why don't you guys ever participate in the chat? I'm like, because I'm not watching the Nuggets. Like, one of them lives in Denver, so he goes to the game, so I get it. I'm not watching the Nuggets. I don't have anything to add to this conversation.
I mean, my thing is like, I do hate that I'm basically put in the position that I need to hate Nikola Jokic and the fact that he doesn't play defense and the fact that he's overrated and that people would rather look at spreadsheets than actual games on the court. I hate that I need to be in this position to be this person because in another universe, I love Nikola Jokic. He is a fascinating basketball player, but I'm a big believer in the fairness doctrine is really what it comes down to. There's three great candidates between Embiid, Jokic, and Giannis. Two of them both already have 2 MVPs, and one of the guys doesn't have any. Fairness doctrine, let's spread it around, let's spread the love a little bit. Embiid deserves it. And I mean, also, like, I do truly feel like we are so dismissive of the fact that Jokic is a traffic cone on defense. Like, he is. He does not contribute to good defense. You can make a defensive scheme around him that is good, but you're not leveraging any abilities that he has in that defensive scheme. He's a big guy that gets rebounds, and all these stats love defensive rebounds to say that means you're a good defender. But again, in another world, I love Nikola Jokic. So I hate that I have to be this person, but my inner Philadelphian will not allow me to say anything less than Nikola Jokic is a stiff, he's a bum, definitely not good at basketball.
You gotta let the hometown spirit fly, which we're gonna do here in just a moment. There is exactly one thing I want to bring up real quick on Making Memories, and this is relatively late breaking on the day that we are recording this intro. The White House did just send out some proposals that basically capitulate to everything that right-wing chuds want in terms of banning trans individuals from high school and college sports. That just really sucks, and I'm very disappointed in them. They can all go hang out in the same garbage can as Leslie Stahl for granting Marjorie Taylor Greene a 60 Minutes interview. And we don't have to focus on any more of that negativity. We've got our own negativity here in Baltimore that we can focus on. Connor, you are one of the, I'd say, preeminent professional podcasters here in Birdland. I certainly enjoy our daily dose of Locked On. And we have brought you here because there's a lot going on here in Birdland. As you mentioned, we were supposed to have an opening day here, or a home opener, at least here in Baltimore today. But we're about 6 games in. And there are also many things other than the things happening on the field that are making memories for us right now. So since I have a feeling I will probably have a little bit more pessimism and cynicism than you might, I would love to hear how you're feeling about the Orioles right now.
I feel good about the way the season has started. I think in general, scoring the amount of runs they have, especially in Boston, was not something they did a lot last season. I think if a competent human being catches a fly ball, the Orioles are 4-2 with 2 series wins to start the year.
Fair play.
I think that's pretty good. And I also kind of love that, a line drive up the middle off of Kyle Bradish's foot kind of forced Mike Elias to look like a fool a little bit this week. And that was kind of nice as well.
I love when Mike Elias looks like a fool. I just want to say that real quick. I'm not the biggest Mike Elias fan. Sure, he can draft well, but I do not think super highly of him outside of that. A lot of people in Baltimore have, I think, finally this last offseason and starting this regular season begun to take what feels like the appropriate approach to his, we'll say, blatant service time manipulation. Like you, Andy Kostka, Nathan Ruiz, a lot of people are calling a spade. And I think it is even more blatant that if the justification for keeping Grayson Rodriguez down was his poor spring, then he follows that up with a relatively bad AAA first start. All it took was an injury to call him up immediately. Like it just makes it feel very obvious that it was all pretty much smoke and mirrors to keep him down as long as they possibly could.
I would love. I don't know if you guys listen to the Greenlight podcast with former NFLer Chris Long, which I'll listen to from time to time. They do some superlatives in every episode, and they always, one of their superlatives is fly on the wall. Like what room, what conversation do you want to be in? I want to be fly on the wall for Mike Elias when Tyler Wells enters that game on Monday night, and Elias realizes that Brandon Hyde has basically burned a starter for the next 2 days. And when Mike Elias looks down in AAA and realizes all the other non-Grayson Rodriguez guys just pitched in the last 3 days, and my only option is either drain my bullpen for 2 consecutive days or throw Grayson Rodriguez, essentially. And you cannot really, in good faith, go the other option. And so his hand was forced. And I hate that it was Kyle Bradish because I am #1 Kyle Bradish stan. I hate that he was the one that went down.
Fully in agreement about Kyle Bradish. My apologies. Please continue.
But luckily, it's going to be a quick injury. Brandon Hyde said the day he comes off the IL, he's probably going to start. So that, 15 days and he's back. That's a good thing. Just, I would have loved to see his reaction. And what I really want to know is, was there communication somehow between Hyde and Elias in the inning and a third between Bradish going out and Wells coming into the game? As Danny Colum was pitching for an inning and a third before they went to Tyler Wells, how badly did Elias not want Tyler Wells to come into that game and throw off these plans? And I do think his hand was forced a little bit because they just had to go there, but it shows you, and he pitched well. That's the other thing. Like, if Rodriguez gives up 5 runs, we're having a different conversation, but that's not what happened.
I can't think of a single pitching performance as a rookie debut that outdid Grayson's 5 innings. I know that, like, in 2009, we tied the MLB record for most rookie pitchers to win their debut, but we've got guys like Brad Bergeson and Lance Birkin in that group who are not really worth mentioning anymore past the year 2009. So I cannot think of a better rookie debut for a starting pitcher than Grayson's. And it wasn't even that good. This is very much faint praise, but it was still a good outing. The people who have tried to say that, like, we should be giving him the benefit of the doubt at this point, and I also want to say, I think you put it the very best following this on Twitter, your response to Mike Elias's response about being asked regarding manipulation of service time. I'm not manipulating service time, and I get really frustrated with that topic too shirt has people asking a lot of questions already answered by my shirt. I appreciated that. Thank you very much for saying that.
People take my criticism better when I put it in the form of memes. I've learned this is my 4th season hosting this podcast, so that was where that came out of.
It felt like I don't know what more there is to show for you. Like, last year, it was 69 2/3 innings, for the record, nice, last year, where he led in basically every single category in AAA. Like, I know the spring wasn't good, but I am not the first person to say that none of the other pitchers' springs were also particularly good, and that if we're going to go by spring stats, then why the hell is Jordan Westberg's 869, also nice, OPS from last year, and his 878 OPS from this spring still sitting down in Norfolk, which I think today he just reached his 1,000th at-bat in the minors. Like, there's no reason for him to be there. I will admit that I have to bite my tongue a little bit on Adam Frazier for right now, but Jordan Westberg should be on this roster. And I don't know how you feel about this necessarily, but I'd be interested in hearing. At this point, there's a whole lot of people that I keep hearing say, oh, well, Mike Elias would be doing this, that, and the other if he wasn't being hamstrung by the Angelos family. For anyone who's listening to this that has not read the, we'll say, historiography of the modern Astros, winning fixes everything, Mike Elias is pretty blatantly painted as the guy who was there to keep salaries down. And I think it's really kind of boneheaded for people to think that he is operating in conflict against the Angelos family rather than this being exactly the thing that he was hired to do when he was brought in.
Yeah, it's twofold, because I don't think you put the entire issue here on Mike Elias. Because if Mike Elias was the GM for an owner that, it doesn't even have to be a Peter Seidler, Steve Cohen type owner, just an owner that was like, you know what, we're going to spend at least in the middle of the pack. We're going to be competitive for everybody.
The Mariners are at what, 140 million, and they extended like their 3 fun guys. That's all we really want.
I think what Elias would do in that situation is, I think Adley Rutschman, there would be much deeper extension talks right now if he were in that situation with that owner. I also think he would have signed better free agents. Now, it still wouldn't have been the Carlos Correas, the $300 million deals, but I think there would have been more free agents where it's like, let's maximize the value of that next tier up. Let's maximize the value of the 3-year, $60 million guys instead of maximizing the value of the 1-year, $5 million guys. They still wouldn't be going for the top guys. And I will say, from Winning Fixes Everything, which I haven't read yet, but have gotten enough of the excerpts about Elias to kind of figure out what was going on in that book. Some baseball related, some not baseball related we've gotten about Mike Elias from that book, but that's neither here nor there. In terms of baseball and finances things, like, the big thing coming out of that book that you've heard from Elias is that they almost don't want to spend on free agents. And I think it's kind of a perfect pairing with him and Angelos, because Angelos was looking for a GM who was okay with just cutting costs down to the bare bones and doing it the Rays way. And I think Elias was looking for a place where he could basically he almost sees it as a challenge. Like, how good can I make this team without spending any money? Again, if he had Steve Cohen, would they be at the Mets payroll? Maybe not, but they'd be spending. But I don't think a Steve Cohen would hire a Mike Elias to run the team. He would hire more of a Dave Dombrowski classic, let's go for it, let's spend all our money guy. So at this point, we're just looking at this back and forth where they both say idiotic things in the media. Angelos has been on a heater with that recently after not talking for 4 years. Elias doesn't say as many idiotic things. He just, I think, puts his foot in his mouth more often and just gets ahead of himself a lot and then has to backtrack. Angelos is just legitimately idiotic.
It's unforced airs.
Yes.
Mike Elias were like, look, we wouldn't have had a problem if you went out and had the offseason you had if you hadn't said liftoff last year. Like, it wasn't a terrible offseason, but it was not at all the offseason that you promised. Whereas John Angelos is just an absolute moron.
So it's different. And I think they're both holding the team back in different ways. I think where you see the difference is, I don't think John Angelos is contributing to the Orioles winning on the field in any way, where I think Mike Elias is. Despite the fact there's parts where he's bad at it and he's doing bad things, they're drafting well, they're developing well. He has helped to put together a really good system. A lot of it is Sig Mejdal as well, and he's done a lot of this work to make this system where it is. But they're still picking the right players who are cheap. Now, are they ever going to pick the right players who are a little expensive? I don't think so. But they're at least picking the right players, it seems, at this point. So that's why I would still, if I had to split the blame, I'd put more on Angelos at this point. Maybe a 60-40 situation. But it's still, I mean, Mike Elias is perfectly happy doing the job that essentially he was hired to do. So it's tough. And you almost just feel like, would a best case scenario be if Angelos sells once they've built up this system, they've now done it, they're back into modern times. Would you want then another GM? I think maybe, because Elias did what Elias can do best, which is strip it down and then build it back up from the inside. Now I'd like a GM who's open to doing more things with money and an owner who obviously is as well. So maybe they can be a package deal and just go together.
If we want to beat Tampa so badly, Tampa extended Wander Franco and signed Zach Eflin this offseason.
Exactly.
I wouldn't mind being a Tampa right now. I wouldn't mind being a Cleveland right now with Andres Jimenez just getting an extension. And I think you've said it perfectly. The line that I've kept saying about Mike Elias is it feels like he's more concerned with looking smart than winning, because winning can make him look smart. That is one of the ways that he can appear smart. But it is not the only way that he has to, and it's by far not the cheapest way that he can appear smart.
Yeah, they've I think them winning 83 games, I don't think Mike Elias was very happy with that last year, to be honest with you. I really
don't disagree at all.
I really think what he wanted was a 72-90 season where he says, look at all this progress we made, but we're certainly not there yet. And then he could do nothing. Instead, they increased by 31 wins. I mean, who does that? I mean, that's the thing. They didn't try to do that. They still did it. That's how incredible last season was for the Orioles, and put Mike Elias in a weird spot because that's not what he was expecting at all. You hear some GMs like the Rockies every year like, we got a 90-win team, and they win 65 games. The Orioles are the opposite. Mike Elias is like, we've perfectly put together about a 73-win team, and then they win 83 games, and he's like, oh no, what do I do now? This is the plan is gone. Kyle Bradish gets hit in the foot. Oh no, my perfect plan has been, one little grain of sand has been, thrown into this. And now I have no idea what to do. And then he just says weird stuff and everybody gets mad at him. They should all, first order of business, everyone just shut up. Like, Orioles PR, figure it out. Like, you gotta get in there and tell John Angelos to shut up. And I get that John Angelos is their boss. They're not the personal PR people for John Angelos. They're the PR people for the Orioles. So it's tough to tell John Angelos to stop talking. But that's number one order of business at this point. And just let the season play out and see what happens. But it's so weird because I'm so frustrated, but there's still so much to be optimistic about because these young players are so good and there's so many more coming. It's just such a back and forth. It's like, everything with Grayson Rodriguez, I am so mad. And then the Orioles play this wild game and win on opening day. And I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. And then I remember that, like, oh yeah, John Angelos also spoke today on opening day, went on the radio and just talked more about how he doesn't care about the team and he only wants to host concerts. It's just like that back and forth every single day.
Yeah, I mean, like all off season, I just kept saying, I can't wait till the games start because like I love the players. I love the team. I just really can't stand hearing the people that own and manage the team talk. And like when it's the off season and that's all you have to fixate on, it's infuriating. And yeah, the second the games start, it's back to childlike joy every single time I see them take the field. I will be ecstatic to see them at the home opener tomorrow. And it is so easy to be excited about what is going on. And now that we have got actual games going on, I'm trying so hard to fixate on that. They really just need to shut their damn mouths.
Yeah, it's pretty simple fix at this point, at least for now, at least for the time being.
Well, I don't know if that was cathartic for you at all. I have to say, this has been nice to kind of get some of this out. What is, if I may ask, now that we've gotten Grayson Rodriguez, we've gotten that debut, and we'll probably have, unless they really try some shenanigans, his home debut this next week. What is the other biggest thing that you are looking forward to this season?
I would say a full year combo of Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman hitting, some combination of 2-3, 2-4, whatever it may be in the lineup. It's just going to be incredible to watch those two guys go through an entire season, and they're going to go through ups and downs because they're both playing their first full big league seasons, but that's the future core of the lineup. And even if it's just for 7 years, it's at least for 7 years, or even if it's just for,
I was going to say, I'll be ecstatic
if
to get it for 7 years.
Yeah.
7 years means there's an extension at some point.
Even if it's worst case scenario for 5 years and then, they're gone. That's what we have in the middle of the order for 5 years. And I just can't wait for that because you even see, Gunnar not getting a lot of hits early, but he walked 6 times in the first 3 games without getting a hit. Like what other 21-year-old, 22-year-old is going to do that? Walk 6 times in his first 3 games, in his first opening day.
Didn't have a hit and had a 500 on base percentage, I think, after the first season.
Adley Rutschman just sitting in there drawing 3-2 walks against Jacob deGrom on Wednesday like it's nothing, like taking a fastball 4 inches off the outside corner against Jacob deGrom. It's fun to watch. They're both good defenders as well. They're great all-around players. The season may go as they go, and I hope it goes well.
I hope so too. I hope we get a chance to have you join us again during this season. We would love to go a little bit more into, our normal wheelhouse of guys, but thank you for joining us for this void screaming session regarding our beloved Baltimore Orioles. Connor, if people have enjoyed hearing you talk about the Baltimore Orioles, where can they hear more of that?
Locked On Orioles podcast, 5 days a week throughout the season, Monday through Friday, about quick 30-minute episodes, so good for your commute into work. Sometimes I'm screaming into the void, but other times I am being very positive about an exciting young team. Wherever you get your pods, you can find it, and on YouTube as well.
Yeah, and there will be a lot of positive, I think, largely to look forward to. I think that's what we'll leave this on this week. Connor, we thank you one more time for joining us and hope you have a lovely rest of your season.
You too. Thank you so much.
That is not all, though, for the episode. It turns out that serendipity is a wonderful thing. We've got a little bit coming up for you that we recorded a couple weeks back, not realizing that this would be taking place during the opening weeks of the baseball season and immediately after the release of the recent Dungeons and Dragons movie in theaters, because Diaz, Xavier, and I are about to play a little bit of a tabletop role-playing game. Folks, today, the G in TTRPG doesn't stand for game. It stands for guy. We've alluded, I think, once or twice that Xavier and I are pretty big TTRPG fans. We do like doing a whole lot of Dungeons & Dragons and whatnot. We're big fucking nerds, in case that's not clear by everything else that we do on this show. And at least for myself, Xavier, I don't want to necessarily speak for you, but I think there's a lot of overlap in what I enjoy about the experience of watching sports and part of what I enjoy with tabletop role-playing games, which is, all of this stock that you put into the construction and accumulation of characters versus rosters, all of the importance of stats, all of this predicting and planning that you can do that you then just fully turn over to the whims of fate. At the end of the day, all of that might mean jack shit, or who knows, you might be completely outmatched and still get away with insane things. because you're just leaving things up to chance. Those stats give you a good indication of how things might go, sure, but does it ultimately matter if fate decides it's going to go another way? It does not. And for that reason, I have wanted to have an excuse to get the two of these guys playing a game with me. So we're going to do that. We wanted to find something, and shout outs to our good friend Evan from Gaijin Baseball. A while ago on Twitter, he talked about wanting to do some kind of like tabletop baseball game, and it led me to find what I think is an excellent example of one. This is a baseball TTRPG by a guy named WM Akers, and it is called Deadball. It is a game that gives you a way, like many RPGs, to spend hours, days, weeks, months making custom players, teams, and leagues. But what I really liked about this, and why I thought it could work for an episode of our illustrious show, is that you can also just use any real baseball player ever. You just need a couple stats from them, and it's incredibly quick to port that over into this game. And so that is what I have dragged my two friends here into doing today. We are going to play Deadball. Now, Diaz, you are not a big TTRPG fan. We have not gotten you to sink deep into the cult. We haven't gotten you to drink
Diaz
the Kool-Aid
thinks
yet.
he's too cool for it,
Ex-
but fantasy
No,
sports are
no.
just
Diaz has
D&D for
explained.
guys who think they're too cool for it.
I respect that he's explained exactly why. I'll let him say now he can't do this.
And let me just do it on this podcast. For the record, Xavier, I will not allow you, as the legal representation of the podcast, to libel me in broad daylight. I have never gotten into TTRPGs because I am terrified of the fact that if I were to cross that horizon, I would never return. I would delve into depths that would not reflect well on me as a person. It would become an obsession. And truly, I mean, this could be a dangerous episode, folks. This could be the beginning of a just degenerate addiction to TTRPGs. So let's see how do you put it, James? Fate's gonna
decide. Let's see
We're
how
gonna roll
the dice roll. Yeah. I relate. I played World of Warcraft for exactly 2 weeks, saw how much time I'd put into World of Warcraft, and said, I can never play this game again. And with that sort of Damocles hanging above your head, Diaz, I want to real quick, for anyone like you that does not have experience, just give a quick rundown of the concept of TTRPGs in general and what we will be playing. Tabletop role-playing games. They are ones where you're going to somehow build characters or teams or some kind of avatar for yourself. There will typically be someone that is leading the game who, rather than playing against you, is kind of just presenting this game that you and perhaps fellow players are going through. They describe scenarios to you. You, knowing the abilities of your avatar, say what you would like to attempt to do in that situation, and then the game's going to have some kind of element of chance. Most of the time this is dice, but some other ones have like spinners or coin flips and stuff. We're using dice today, and that determines success or failure. And then the game master will tell you what the new situation is in the world, and you continue to repeat that cycle forever. Now, you might have heard of the D20 system. If you're familiar with Dungeons & Dragons, you might have seen what a D20 looks like. But the D100 system, the system that Deadball uses, this is the system used in Call of Cthulhu. Again, if you were a big nerd and know these kinds of things. It might be hard to imagine a dice with 100 sides, and the good thing is that that is not what it is. It is two 10-sided dice, one that determines the tens digit, one that determines the ones digit, so you can play it with any standard role-playing dice. Much like baseball, it is a system that is fundamentally based around failure. The way that it is going to work for our game today is once our guys have assembled their teams of players, and these are all players today we're discussing that have been mentioned on Remember That Guy with a couple of extra additions because I had to round out a few categories, but I think they are appropriately guy level candidates that I've put in there, and we'll touch on them in a moment. All of this to say, the way that we are going to determine success for a hitter, which is ultimately how the game will progress, each of you, as you come to bat, the batting average is what's going to determine what you need to roll. A successful hit is when you roll a D100, and let's take, for instance, the very first baseball guy we ever discussed, Damian Miller. He's got an average of 262. You take the first two digits of that, it's a 26. If you roll a 26 or lower, Damian Miller gets a hit. That is the most basic element of it, but then as we go through, there are other rules that we're going to introduce. We are, I'll say, using a modified version of some of the stuff that you can do. There's a very basic version of play. There's a much more complex one. I've tried to kind of strike the middle here today. And again, all of that stuff is available on wmakers.net. It is very cheap to get the PDFs and stuff, and any kind of role-playing dice, or just a Google Dice Roller will allow you to, like with every tabletop role-playing game, play for very, very little money. So that's the basic premise of it. Pitchers also come into play. Their ERAs are going to determine a dice that the team that is pitching and fielding at any given time rolls to add to the roll of the batter. And then those two together, that is the swing score, or the modified swing score officially, as it's referred to in the books. That modified swing score needs to be below the batting average. You think about it, it makes sense. You've got a 26% chance if you've got a 260 average when you step up to bat to get a hit. So you're trying to roll in that 26% chance as you go. Couple last notes on the game. There are subsequent flow charts based on whether or not that hit's successful that will go as they come up. The game is called Deadball. I've played this with some friends to test it out. It can be a low offense game, but when a rally gets going, I think it can be really exciting. So I hope that we get to experience a little bit, but just let people know it can be a little bit on the low scoring side. It's time for us to determine rosters. I have shared a spreadsheet with the two of you. Xavier, you're at the top of the screen for me, so I'm going to flip a coin. You're going to call it in the air to see who gets first pick.
All right.
Is this a real coin or is this a Google coin? This is important to
This is a Google coin because I'm endorsing both Google Coin and Google Dice Roller.
Tails.
It is tails. I mean, Xavier, would you like to defer, or do you want to take the first overall pick?
No, I'll take the first overall pick. And with that, I have to go with the best player on this list, or at least the best hitter on this list, and also to give a shout out to Puerto Rico, going with Bernie Williams.
Bernie Williams, the songsmith himself, one of our outfielders, is going first overall. The way I've broken it down, by the way, we have made sure that there are enough people to fill all the positions. We're going to be taking 9 total hitters, 1 starting pitcher, 2 relievers. Starting pitcher is the only place where you get a little bit of choice. You will also notice for all of the pitchers, we do have their batting averages listed. We are going to play with old National League rules because that's going to make for some substitutions. One of those batters will be on your bench. And finally, there were 2 guys we've mentioned before that don't have any career stats. So I can't really make them into real players, but I can make them into special power-ups. And that's Eddie Geidel and Herbert Lee Washington. Eddie Geidel can serve as a pinch hitter and automatically get you a base runner at any time. And then Herbert Lee Washington can come in as a pinch runner at any time and get a little bit of a boost to base stealing during that. So get to take 9 hitters, 3 pitchers, 1 power-up. Xavier has gotten things started off with Bernie Williams, which means Diaz, you've got the second pick. Who we taking?
Well, Xavier's put me in a very tough spot because logically, as I look at this game, the correct pick is to take Curt Flood, who's batting .293. However, as a Philadelphian, my consciousness will not allow for this. And instead, I'm going to draft a true Philadelphian, Jamie Moyer.
Jamie Moyer, who I will note for the purposes of this, because I did need to get a sufficient number of bullpen arms. Since he debuted in the bullpen, we are holding him as a reliever. So he will be serving as a reliever in this game today. But we've got Jamie Moyer as your first arm out of the bullpen, an excellent first arm out of the bullpen.
That 128 batting average, I have a feeling it's going to play a big role in this
game. It is the only one above 100 of all of the bullpen guys. Okay, well, we've got our first pitcher off the board, as well as Bernie Williams. Xavier, back to you. Who are we looking at?
I'm just looking based on positions and the difference between the positions, and I got to go with Jeremy Giambi. Like Randy Bass, but his average is not good. Not good at all. At least I'm assuming that's his American MLB average. And
So yes, for all players, we are using their career MLB stats. That is what has filled in for everyone.
If you put his Nippon League average in there, he would have been the first overall pick.
That's a fair play. I got to play by what Randy Bass did here in the States, which wasn't a whole lot. So you've got Jeremy Giambi at first base, Bernie Williams in the outfield. Diaz, do we have a batter for you to take yet?
We don't, because you can control the mound, you can control the game, and this is a very big game. And I don't think of the pitchers listed, there's a better big game pitcher that I could want on the mound than Luis Tiant.
Luis Tiant, okay.
I'm not surprised. I'm not.
Absolutely. No, Luis Tiant, a 3.30 ERA that he's carrying today and a 1.64 average. Not bad if we've got him in the lineup. So there we go. Luis Tiant is your starter. Jamie Moyer is your first arm out of the bullpen. Still no batters yet. Xavier, what you got for number 3?
You know what? With only 2 relief pitchers, I'm going to need guys to go long innings and go a couple days in a row. Give me the rubber band man, Kent Tekulve.
Kent Tekulve, the rubber band man, a 2.85 ERA. Not buck 83, 0.83 bullpen average. So hopefully Kent Tekulve won't need to take too many at-bats, but he can hopefully soak up some innings for you there in the later bits of the game. All right, Diaz.
We are ready for a batter, and it's going to be a clutch moment late in this game that I'm going to need a big bat to come in off the bench, and I'm going to need somebody to rip a long drive to deep right field into that dark Los Angeles night, as he did in Game 4 of the 2008 NLCS. Matt Stairs, we're going to need you eventually. Not quite yet, but come on down.
Matt Stairs, putting him on the bench. Not a guy that we've officially mentioned, but with a couple different mentions over the past few weeks, thought he was appropriate to slot in. So that is our first unofficial addition to the roster of guys. And our first batter for Diaz brings us to Xavier, your 4th pick.
You know what? Let's see. I need a starter. I'll take Harvey Haddix.
Harvey Haddix, 3.63 ERA, a 2.12 average. Harvey Haddix currently losing his mind over everyone saying that Puerto Rico got a perfect game with 8 innings as he and his 12 just sit there seething in anger. Diaz, for your 4th pick. Do we go back to the bullpen? Do we get your last reliever? Do we get a power-up? Or do we take your first starting batter in the lineup?
It's getting to be that point in the draft where it is definitely time to start looking at a traditional batter. And as I have already made very clear, I refuse to draft Curt Flood. So well played, Xavier. You're going to get the 2 best high average hitters in this game.
Should have won the coin flip.
Should have won the coin flip. I just didn't want it enough. But I'll tell you who I do want. I want a guy that can not only play his position, but if Jamie Moyer isn't enough to get us to the finish line, I need a guy that can come in that 19th inning and get me 3 outs. I need Wilson Valdez as my shortstop.
Wilson Valdez, 236 career batting average. Exxon Valdez coming in at shortstop for you. There we go. Xavier, back to you.
All right. Let's see here. You know what? Just because it's fun, give me the guitar hero himself, Joel Zumaya.
Joel Zumaya to fill out your bullpen. Now, I will point out, Joel Zumaya does have a 000 batting average. So I do sincerely hope for your sake he does not have to take any at-bats. We'll say if you get a critical swing on Joel Zumaya, that is that you have a 1 in 100 chance that he can hit a ball. But that is going to potentially matter later on.
We'll see what happens.
We will see. But for now, Diaz, let's see what happens with your next pick.
Well, it makes it easy now to just sit on Jason Grimsley. I'll come back to him eventually. We look at our starting pitchers.
Oh, I don't think so. The starting pitcher, I'm sorry to interrupt. That's the one where now that we've got those 2, we don't need any more starters. So R.A. Dickey and Lou Burdett were our last 2. They will remain in the audience for today's proceedings.
I mean, they'll make a great commentary team up there. I think they'll have some great comments back and forth. But we look at the rest of this lineup, and I think we need to really focus on our ability up the middle. I trust a good fielding duo. We need to be able to turn to when it comes to it. So I need to go to an OG guy, Ben Zobrist, for my second base.
Okay, Ben Zobrist. He of the unaired pilot, along with already the aforementioned Damian Miller. And here goes Ben Zobrist slotting into second base for you, Diaz, with a 266 career batting average. Xavier, what you got? Let's get some more hitters off the board here.
You know what? Give me Darren Erstad.
Okay, just in case a football game breaks out later on.
You know what? It's good to have a punter on the team. You never know what could happen.
with Curt Flood eventually coming as Darren Erstad, 282 average, you're going to have all of your outfielders batting at least 28. So the Bernie Williams pick continues to burn Diaz. But here's a chance to rub some lotion on that burn, Diaz.
Well, now there's no sense in me going outfield the rest of the way. And that was a really like hurtful pick that Xavier made. And I am a very petty and small man. So I'm going to take Damian Miller as my catcher.
That's
okay.
fine.
Damian Miller off the board, 262. And we can use Damian Miller's name and likeness because we don't have any kind of deal with MLBPA, so him being a scab will not matter. Damian Miller, added onto the list. Xavier?
I don't have to draft him now because I'll just get him eventually, but I do want to know how to say that guy's name.
Our other catcher, yes, I thought you guys might not remember this, but it is a catcher that we have discussed, Ossie Schreckengast. Ossie Schreckengast was the personal catcher of a guy brought to us by our friend Dante Rube Waddell. So we are going way back to the Philadelphia Athletics with Ossie Schreckengast and his 271, which is going to slot nicely into the catcher spot for you, Xavier.
Wait, no, I said I wasn't going to. I don't need to draft him now because I'm going to get him regardless. I just didn't know how to say his name.
Ossie Schreckengast.
All right, well, I don't want to have to deal with Todd Frazier and the announcers always talking about the Toms River Little League World Series team that stood next to Derek Jeter. So give me Scott Brocious instead.
Scott Brocious cornering the market on Yankees. Wonderful. Okay.
Got that. You gave me two Yankees options at third base. So
yeah, they're both guys that you brought to this show. Well, okay, Todd Frazier.
Todd Frazier, by the way.
He is another one that I did have to help fill some things out. Todd Frazier, having recently retired, the Todd father, his two all-star years in Cincinnati. I felt like there were some good guy elements there, so I did want to give him a little tip of the cap by including him here. Diaz, I mean, Todd Frazier is available to you as we turn it back to you. We're starting to get to some slim pickings now.
Todd Frazier's right there on the board, but I do look at an empty outfield, and I think to myself, what would be better than to make Curt Flood come to Philadelphia
just do
my
it.
Baseball team?
I was hoping
now,
you would.
He has no free agency. He is a name on a list, and he is a name that is being drafted onto my deadball team. Curt Flood, fuck you, you son of a bitch. You're playing in Philadelphia.
I was hoping you would do this. I really wanted it. I thought it'd be more fun that way.
There is no agency whatsoever, free or just agency as a human being for Curt Flood, who has been selected by Diaz's team, the name of which I'm sure we'll learn later. And there we go. Curt Flood is going to be your first outfielder. Slots in nicely. Xavier, who you got?
Now I get Bobby Bonilla.
You do now get Bobby Bonilla. Bobby Bonilla, thank you, because I was struggling to find a last outfielder, by the way. Diaz, we are recording this just a few days after the Bobby Bonilla episode, and that sure did help me make his roster a little bit easier to deal with.
So
I think that's the last pick that needs to be done, because everything else is...
Well, no. So everything else except for one other thing, and that is the special power-up. So I guess... So you've taken Bobby Bonilla. Yeah, Diaz, this will be the last one where there is any choice. So, I think this is appropriate that you make this pick since Xavier got the first. Which of the special power-ups, Eddie Geidel or Herbert Lee Washington, do you want?
It is tough because as the person who presented for Herbert Lee Washington, his story does speak to me. But I do look at this objectively, and Eddie Geidel is the better power-up.
Eddie Geidel, I think, is indeed the better power-up. I think that's the right move. I respect the thought process and the difficulty that presents. You're a brave man for spurning Herbert Lee Washington. Hopefully that won't burn you later, but that does set our rosters, which I will read through in one moment, because then you guys will have to make lineups. Oh, sorry, what are the team names, my friends?
Team Puerto Rico.
You can't beat Team Puerto Rico against me.
Yeah, I can. I got Bernie Williams.
What the fuck is this?
He can participate in the World Baseball Classic. Did anyone on your team participate in the World Baseball Classic? Because I actually don't know the answer to that question.
Wow. This has gotten very personal. Very quick.
Diaz is going to be on a fucking mission.
Our team name is Down the Gunners.
Okay, yeah, this is going to be scrappy. So we got Team Puerto Rico against the Gunners. Diaz, I'll let you pick because Xavier got first.
Gunners.
Down the Gunners. Diaz, I will let you pick this since Xavier got first pick. Do you want to be home or away?
Oh, we need to be the home team. Home field
All right.
advantage here in Philadelphia. Fuck you, Kurt Flood.
So you are the Philadelphia Down the Gunners.
Philadelphia Arsenal sucks. Fuck you, Xavier. That's the official nickname.
Beautiful.
Got you.
I love
Philadelphia Down the Gunners. Okay, so we'll run through the rosters once the lineups are set. So let's get the lineup set.
So there's no, like, literally batting average is the only stat that we need to be concerned about.
Yeah, so in the game, there's a case for like, oh, this guy's a power hitter. Oh, this guy's a contact hitter. But I didn't want to introduce too much crazy stuff. So we're just going with batting average and then just ERA for pitchers. As pitchers, their batting average will also matter when they come to bat. Okay, folks, the lineups have been set as we welcome Team Puerto Rico to Philadelphia, where they will be taking on the Philadelphia Down the Gunners. The lineups today for Team Puerto Rico, leading off, we got center fielder Darren Erstad. In the catcher position, we have Aussie Schreckengost. Bobby Bonilla is going to be patrolling right field. Bernie Williams over in left. We got Ricky Weeks Jr. playing at second for Team Puerto Rico. At third base, Scott Brocious, former World Series MVP. He is going to be playing at the hot corner for Team Puerto Rico. Don Zimmer will be taking the shortstop position. And Jeremy Giambi then at first, with Harvey Haddix batting ninth and starting as the pitcher today. On the bench, you got Herbert Lee Washington, Eric Thames, just another phenomenal guy who has announced his retirement that I wanted to give a quick shout out to. God, that first week when he came back from the KBO, I was like, actually, yeah, no, I'm going to be one of the best power hitters in baseball for like a very brief moment. So beautiful. And in the bullpen, Kent DeColvey and Joel Zumaya. For the Philadelphia Down the Gunners, leading off another recently retired player, Dexter Fowler. He had the leadoff home run in Game 7 of the 2016 World Series, and also a great piece of Orioles lore. Right before the 2016 season, he agreed to terms with the Orioles. And we're like, oh, this is perfect. He's exactly the kind of leadoff hitter we need for this. And the next day, he showed up at Cubs spring training, having changed his mind and decided to play with the Cubs. So Dexter Fowler, this is my tip of the cap to you. It was a funny bit, and he will be leading off and playing right field for the Down the Gunners today. Ben Zobrist, teammate of his on that championship Cubs team, he is going to be playing at second. Kurt Flood in left field. Matt Stairs is actually going to be starting at first today. They're moving Randy Bass to the bench. At the catcher position, Damian Miller is there, ready to bat fifth. Batting sixth is Wilson Valdez, the shortstop. Nolan Reimold, the rightful 2009 AL Rookie of the Year, in center field. And Luis Tiant, not actually batting last, my apologies, Luis Tiant batting eighth and starting today. Batting ninth and turning the lineup over is Todd Frazier. The bench for the Philadelphia Down the Gunners, the aforementioned Randy Bass, Eddie Geidel, and then a bullpen of Jamie Moyer and Jason Grimsley. Those are our teams. Gentlemen, are you ready?
Yes.
Play some baseball. Deadball, excuse me. Let's play some deadball.
Let's play some deadball. Here's how it's going to work. The starting pitcher for the Philadelphia Down the Gunners, Luis Tiant, he has an ERA of 3.30. That means that today the pitch die that Luis Tiant is starting with is a D4. So, Diaz, what Xavier's going to do is he's going to have that D100 roll that we have described for each of his hitters as we start the game off, and the dice that you will be rolling to add to his score, making it a little bit more difficult for him to keep it under his target, is going to be a D4 roll. So that's what you'll be doing this first inning. To go through the swing result table just once, I will just tell people from this point on what it is, but so you, the viewer at home, can know. If they roll a 0 to 5, it's a critical hit. We're going to probably play that just as smashing a home run. 6 to whatever the target score is, as just an ordinary hit. There's a table that will then roll for to determine what kind of hit. The next 5 points above the target for batting is a walk. So that's how you draw a walk, anywhere in that next little bit of range. Anywhere past a walk until rolling a 70 is a productive out. So if you've got runners on, we can determine if anything happens after that. Finally, anything from a 71 to a 99 is so bad that it generates a possible double play. So that is how we are starting things off. Xavier and Diaz, would you please give me your swing and pitch rolls respectively?
I have a 4.
It's a 4. It's a great first pitch from Luis Tiant to get things started off here. How does Darren Erstad respond?
41.
A 41. That is going to be a productive out, but that doesn't mean anything when it's the leadoff guy. It is just an out. And to determine what kind of out it is, just so we can get fancy, give me one sec. You said it's a 41 plus 4, making it a 45 total. That is a 5-3 ground out, fielded cleanly by Todd Frazier and tossed to Matt Stairs. An easy ground out to get the game started. There we go. That is our first out of the day for Darren Erstad, bringing up Ossie Schreckengost to the plate.
1.
51.
A meatball served up by Luis Tiant, but it is still played cleanly. In fact, it is a meatball that is swung through for a strikeout with a total score of 52. That is our first strikeout of the day for Luis Tiant, racking up one of those there. And that means we've got 2 outs now as Bobby Bonilla strolls to the plate.
3.
63.
This time fielded by the shortstop, Millicent Valdez. Cleanly fielded ground out. The toss to Matt Stairs does beat the runner. Bobby Bonilla is retired. The side is retired in order in the first half of the inning. That means the Philadelphia Down the Gunners are now striding up to plate as Harvey Haddix takes his spot there on the mound. Now, Harvey Haddix, having a slightly higher ERA of 3.63, here's how that's going to change things. An ERA of anywhere between 3.5 to 4 means, Xavier, you will still be rolling a D4. However, we are subtracting that D4 from Diaz's modified swing score. So, makes it a little bit easier on him there. I will also say, as the game goes, the pitch dies that these pitchers are using can change based on how the opposing team is playing. So, I will go through that if it comes up to it. Right now, though, we know what to do, and that is a swing roll from Diaz and a pitch roll from Xavier. Let's see what we get. Dexter Fowler is the one up to bat.
55.
4.
A 55 and a 4, a 59 total.
Wasn't it
2.
51?
Minus,
Oh,
right?
you are correct. You are correct. 51. Sorry. Thank you very much. That is a strikeout by Dexter Fowler. How embarrassing of me. Strikeout by Dexter Fowler. First of the day for Harvey Haddix. Good start for Team Puerto Rico here in the bottom of the first. Next up to bat, former teammate of Dexter Fowler, Ben Zobrist himself. Let's see what you got, Diaz.
88.
3.
88 and 3, 85 total. This one is fielded by third base. Ben Zobrist out at first after the throw from Scott Brocious. Kurt Flood, formerly public enemy number 1 in Philadelphia, but right now, the guy who the early hopes of this team rest on. Kurt Flood, let's see what you've got this afternoon. What do we think? Is this a day game, night game?
It's a day game, but the Philadelphia crowd is nice and greased up, and they are lustfully booing Kurt Flood right now.
Well, it's a 4 o'clock day game. They had time to get some drinks in.
Lustfully booing Kurt Flood as he steps up and he rolls a 34.
He rolls a 34. Xavier, what do you roll to subtract
2.
from that? A 2, a 32, meaning that Kurt Flood, with a score of 29, he draws a walk. Kurt Flood gets our first base of the day. You now, Diaz, have 2 outs, but you do have Kurt Flood at first, and your first baseman stepping up to bat. That's right, Matt Stairs himself, Mr. Clutch. Let's see if we can do some early damage here.
What was the final score for that?
A 32 total. A 30 to 34 would be a walk for Kurt Flood in that instance.
Got it.
Matt Stairs, though, scored 26. Let's see what we can get.
33.
3.
33, 3. That's a total of 30. That is a walk for Matt Stairs. We've got 2 runners on, people. Harvey Haddix losing a little bit of composure. Damian, I should actually clarify, he is not, because there are mechanics for that. So I'm just saying that he has not reached that point yet. But we have reached the point where Damian Miller is stepping up to bat with runners on first and second. Something I should clarify, by the way, Diaz, at any point when someone is on, this goes for both of you, you can attempt to steal a run. If at any point you want to while you have base runners, let me know and we'll go through that.
Point of clarification, you steal the next base or steal a run?
Sorry, steal the next base. My apologies.
Yeah. Because stealing a run.
I completely misspoke there. No, it is. I mean, you could steal home. It is very difficult. It is not a very likely to be successful dice roll. But you can at any point steal. You can even double steal. You could, in this situation, steal, which is why I'm presenting the opportunity to you.
We're going to let Damian Miller stride into the box. He's going to step up. He's going to roll 17.
Oh, a 17. Xavier, what's the pitch?
1.
A 1. That is a 16 total. That is an ordinary hit. Diaz, you were going to roll for our first hit of the day. So The hit table is the only D20 table in this game. We are going to go ahead and roll a D20. Diaz, do give me that whenever you've got it.
D20, 18.
An 18 is a triple with a defensive roll. So we are clearing the bases here if something incredible doesn't happen. Defensive rolls do prompt you, Xavier. That is a D12. I will let you know most of the outcomes, no change. A bad one is an error. A very good one takes the hit down a level or even turns it into an out.
All right. Roll the 1.
You rolled a 1. It is an error. Runners take an extra base, meaning it is an inside the park home run by Damian Miller.
That's not an inside the park home run. That's a triple with an error allowing the runner to advance.
Well, here's the thing. It's 3-0 down the Gunners either way.
Yeah, that's fine.
Goodness gracious. And that actually means, Xavier, that Harvey Haddix, having allowed 3 runs in an inning, does drop a pitch die level. So for your pitch rolls now, I do need you to roll a D8 that you then subtract from the modified swing score.
That's fine.
All right, it is currently 3-0 for down the Gunners. Bases cleared, still 2 outs. This has all been a beautiful 2-out rally. And that brings up Wilson Valdez against the struggling now Harvey Haddix.
And there are 10-year-olds in the stands absolutely slamming some Michelob Ultras right now. It's not legal, but it's Philadelphia. We're celebrating.
Yeah, please, another thing. This is a theater of the mind. I want you guys to tell me every single other thing that's going on in this game at any point. Please, tell me about the dip spit. Tell me about the unnecessary home run celebrations if they come up. Help paint a word picture with me.
What is a 92?
And I rolled a 5.
With an 87, it is fielded cleanly by, Bernie Williams makes the catch. And so we do end the inning, but an excellent first inning for down the Gunners. 3-0. We head to the top of the second. And Bernie Williams, who just made that out, will be the leadoff hitter this inning for Team Puerto Rico. Let's see if they can respond to that shocking 2-out rally. Luis Tion back on the mound. Hey, come on.
Rolling physical dice, I've always found, is more fun, but you roll a lot worse than the Google die.
Xavier, it's so early. Let's dance. Come on, let's get a little
see
crazy.
What happens.
It's a 3 from Luis. That biting slider towards the outside corner.
And it's an 80.
An 83. That is a ground out straight to the first baseman. Matt Stairs fields it cleanly, and Bernie Williams is retired. That brings up next Ricky Weeks Jr., the second baseman today with a score of 25. Let's see if he can get something going for Team Puerto Rico. Xavier, what is your swing score?
21.
21.
It's a 1 from Luis.
It's a 1 from Luis. A 22 is the first hit of the day for Team Puerto Rico. Let's go ahead and get that hit roll from you, Xavier.
That's a 6.
A 6 is a single. We need a defensive roll, though, from the shortstop who is fielding this ball. Diaz, could you give me a roll as Wilson Valdez? It looks like it's going to get out of the infield, but he's got maybe a chance at it. It is a D12.
8.
An 8? No change. A 1-out single for Ricky Weeks, who is going to get on base. And Xavier, you've got a man on. You've got 1 man out. And Don Zimmer is striding to the plate for you. Let's see what he can do.
63.
I'm so sorry. This is Scott Brocious batting.
Who still 63.
Luis Tion is a little angry about that hit, so he came in with the old number 1 heater.
It means it's a 64, which is the second baseman. Productive out.
Productive out would be he gets the second.
Yeah, it's still a productive out. We'll say that's exactly how we'll play. Productive out, advances the runner to second, 2 outs, but you do have a man in scoring position. And now, Don Zimmer strolls to the plate.
We got a 4 over here.
18.
22 for Don Zimmer, which is a hit. Xavier, go ahead and give me that roll.
That's a 4.
Which is a single. The defender, the second base defender, is going to make a play. So this is rolling now towards Ben Zobrist. Diaz, give me that D12 roll.
It's an 8.
No change. We've got runners on the corners, first and third. Excellent play by Don Zimmer to bring up Jeremy Giambi to the plate.
You can't win with Jeremy Giambi. They made a whole movie about this.
Well, he rolled an 18, so.
Jeremy Giambi rolled an 18. Diaz, what'd you roll?
It's a 3.
So a 21. That is still just an ordinary hit. Xavier, why don't you go ahead and give me a hit roll?
Roll higher than like a 4 this time, please. Rolled a 10.
A 10 is a single, but the runners advance 2 bases. So you are going to score Ricky Weeks, making it a 3-1 game. And then, let's see, Don Zimmer is going to get all the way to third. Jeremy Giambi is safely at first. 2 outs, but here's the thing. Next up is the pitcher, Harvey Haddix.
Come on, Harvey.
A solid hitter for a pitcher, but he is in a big spot right now with guys, once again, on the corners. 2 outs. What you got for Harvey Haddix?
Come on, Harvey.
2.
91.
A 93. We don't have to worry about the possible double play. That is going to go ahead and just be a ground out straight back to the first baseman. Harvey Haddix does squash the rally, but you made a little bit of ground back. 3-1. It's a good showing now. You've still got more hits than Diaz at this point.
You know what? That doesn't mean jack shit.
Doesn't mean jack shit right now as we come up. We'll say that doesn't change Harvey Haddix one way or the other. That's just a normal out. So he is still going to be at that D8 that we were subtracting from the hit scores. As we head to the bottom of the second, Nolan Reimold is going to be starting off for the Philadelphia Down the Gunners.
18.
I mean, it's going to be a hit no matter what.
It's going to be a hit no matter what, but this will just be an ordinary hit. But let's just find out.
6.
A 6, so it is a 12. It's an excellent hit by Nolan Reimold to start off the inning. Let's find exactly how excellent it is. This is your D20.
20.
It's a home run, then.
It's an absolutely home run. That is a home run by Nolan Reimold to lead off the second inning. 4-1 down the Gunners.
That run is already gone, so you know.
And it's gone.
Well, here's the good news. Luis Tiant is now up to bat.
Yeah, and he's going to hit a home run, too, so it's fine.
I got 10 as my first one. Is that just a 0?
Yeah, fuck. Yeah, we will say it's a 0, so how'd that go?
10-5, so 0-5.
Yeah, that's 0-5. All right, that's a critical hit.
Yeah, and I got a 7, so it's actually -2 or whatever. So
that is a home run to Luis.
Yeah, fuck this.
Let's go. I knew going into the 8-hole was the way to do it. That's advanced ball knowledge, Xavier.
You're welcome.
Analytics and shove them up your ass with your higher batting averages on your team.
Google says you're welcome.
Bringing up Todd Frazier with still no outs here in the second.
Oh, this crowd is just really letting Xavier hear it. He really thought he could come in here and call
himself.
Oh,
dear. Sorry, Xavier. I am very sorry. For every run allowed over 4 runs, I do have to drop you another die level. So you all are now rolling a D12 for Harvey Haddix.
Yeah, remember when you said this was a low-scoring game, you piece of shit?
It was supposed to be.
Better get the righty and the lefty up. You're going to need them both. It is a 44 by Todd Frazier.
It's a 34 this time?
44.
44. What's the D12?
3.
3, okay, that's good. That's a 41, which means it's a strikeout by Harvey Haddix. A much-needed strikeout by Harvey Haddix. That turns the order over. Dexter Fowler back up to bat. 1 away here in the second. What we got for Dexter Fowler, Diaz?
A 52.
A 52, Xavier?
1.
A 1, a 51. That is a second straight strikeout for Harvey Haddix.
Settling back in. 1
more of these, Xavier, and you can get that pitch die back up to a D8.
I might prefer the D12. It's done better so far.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and get that. Ben Zobrist is our batter, Diaz.
With a 65.
65, Xavier?
6.
A 6, meaning it is a 59 fly out to the right fielder, and that will retire the side. But, I mean, as Bobby Bonilla makes that catch, he knows that some damage has been done. That's okay, though. Things are going to turn around for you, Xavier. This 5-1 score is temporary. Let's go ahead and see what Darren Erstad can do as he leads off the third for you.
Well, between the innings, I think it's incredible to see some of the Arsenal Football Club men's and women's players have actually come out with a thumbs down sign, and they are ripping off their jerseys. They are fully aboard the Down the Gunners movement.
What are they doing in Philadelphia?
It doesn't matter what they're doing in Philadelphia.
It's a fantasy world, Xavier.
You know what it is? Actually, they're leaving Arsenal because they're considering all transferring to play for the Philadelphia Union. And the Arsenal women are actually founding the Philadelphia NWSL team finally. That's what's happening.
No,
That's
I
why
would
they're-
take that.
I was
would
gonna say
take that
that's
part.
actually that's
I would
pretty
take
okay.
that part.
All of the same players, but now he can go see them for probably significantly less money.
Yeah, 100% I take that.
We all come up a
42.
winner.
42
Down-
by Darren Erstad. And what do we got from Luis Tiant?
A 2.
39 is a flyout to your right fielder, Dexter Fowler, bringing up our boy, Ossie Schreckengost, the one Philadelphia trader on the Team Puerto Rico team.
50.
3.
53, that one is a grounder. Back to the first baseman, Matt Stairs. Xavier, you can switch to Google Dice if you want to at any point.
No, I'm bought in at this point.
There you go. In for a penny, in for a pound.
I can't change it at this point because you got to commit. You got to commit to these things.
You know who agrees with you on that? The Mets in regards to paying Bobby Bonilla, who is now up to play. Go ahead and give me that roll for Bobby Bonilla.
38.
38? Okay. I could still...
No, he's out.
Yeah, I forgot. You are not subtracting right now. A 4?
A 4.
A 4. That is a 42, a strikeout by Bobby Bonilla. Only the second for Luis Tiant. Hasn't needed too many, though, today.
Yeah, he's hit a home run.
Yeah, he retires the side in order. And Diaz, your leadoff hitter this inning. Every Philadelphian's favorite. Kurt Flood. Third inning here. Still 5-1 for the Philadelphia down the Gunners. What we got?
For Mr. Flood, we have a 26.
26.
5.
And a 5. A 21 altogether. Just a normal hit, but let's see what kind of hit.
5.
A 5. That is a single. Go ahead and give me a D12 defense roll. Xavier, this is your third baseman. Scott Brocious fielding it.
8.
8, no change. Brocious fields it cleanly, but it gets back to the bag just a little bit after Flood as he legs it out. Flood is on first, bringing up Matt Stairs.
86.
86. Ooh, possible double play if this is not a... Oh, it is definitely a double play, but go ahead and roll that 12 to see what kind.
10.
It is a 10, so that's going to be a 76. It is a 6-3 play, and it is a possible double play, so why don't you go ahead and give me a defense roll, Xavier?
2.
A 2? That is an error.
Yeah,
Actually.
great. Yeah, fuck you.
That is an error. And the runner's taking extra base, so we'll say that Flood does advance to second. There's an error.
So
on the
why'd you give me a defense roll instead of just letting me have one out?
Because it's a possible double play. I have to go through with it. I'm just managing the
Bullshit.
game. I'm not doing anything.
So what is this? Oh, it's a dribble ground ball to second. He flips it to the shortstop. Oh no, it's 10 yards over his head into the outfield, and everyone ends up on second and third because they're drunk.
Not second and third, just first and second. But you
Because
do
they
that
take an
now.
extra base.
I'm saying since it was going to be an out, the extra bases, they both exist still.
I don't know.
Meaning-
I don't know.
Look, Xavier, do you want me to make it worse? I'm trying to give you runners on first and second with no outs as Damian Miller.
It's
comes
not
to
gonna
play.
matter because David Miller's about to hit a home run against me. It's fine.
No, he did that last time.
It's gonna happen again.
It's a 10 and a 4.
Yeah, so fuck you, James. Fuck you.
Damian Miller with his second home run of the game with 2 men on. It is 8-1 down the Gunners.
Dear listener, I want you to understand something. I took Damian Miller as the first catcher despite him having a lower batting average just to say fuck Xavier, and the universe has smiled upon me and granted me with
I mean, I called
I
it. I
looked at
expected
these-
it to happen.
I looked at these rosters when I made it, and I saw, okay, Diaz has like across the board lower averages. Both of his bullpen guys have lower ERAs. I don't know who's going to pull it off, and now it's 8-1. So like, fucking deadball, man. Are we leaving our boy Harvey Haddix in the game?
No, Kent Colby's in now.
Okay,
Like
Kent
it's
Colby.
gonna make a difference because fucking Luis Tiant's about to hit another home run.
Well, here's the thing. It might be Wilson Valdez instead. It's not Luis Tiant yet. Bide your time. It's 8-1, no outs. Wilson Valdez is up. Kent Colby is now pitching. Kent Colby with his ERA 2.85. That means that you are rolling a D8 and adding it to the score. What is the swing, Diaz, for Wilson Valdez?
42.
3.
And 3 of 45 is an easy grounder, 5-3 to the shortstop. And that one's handled. So there we go. It's going to bring up Nolan Reimold with 1 out.
21.
6.
So that is going to be a 27. That is a walk for Nolan Reimold. 1 man on for Luis Tiant.
10 and 9.
10 and a 9. Let's see. This still might not be a hit, Xavier. If you roll an 8, this is still just a walk for Luis Tiant.
No, it's a 3.
It's a 3. Okay, so then it's a hit for Luis Tiant. It's not a home run, but it is a hit for Luis Tiant. Give me that hit roll.
I do want to say I have rolled in the 10s twice. Diaz has rolled in the 10s 7 times already.
Yeah, it's you know what the sunk cost fallacy is, Xavier? I just want to make sure that, like, as we discuss you continuing to use physical dice, that we are familiar with that.
No, because what's going to happen is once Diaz scores 3 more, I'm going to call it a mercy roll, and then we can go home.
Okay. Go ahead. What is the hit roll for that Luis Tiant hit?
It's a 13.
It is a 13. That is a double, but with defense. Let's see with your left fielder, Xavier. Bernie Williams, I'm begging you, do something here with Bernie.
It's a 10.
A 10. Hit goes down a level. It is reduced to a single. Runners do advance 2. So we do have Nolan Reimold on third, and Luis Tiant is at first.
Either way, a 164 hitter with a giant mustache now has a home run and a single that hit the wall and bounced back. The Giancarlo Stanton type of single.
Yeah.
Listen, I spelled it out before the draft, Xavier. I said Luis Tiant is a big game pitcher. And you know what? I sold him short. He's a big game hitter, too. He can do it both. Jamie Moyer exchanged some notes as far as Joe Blanton's huge Game 4 in the 08 World Series, how Joe Blanton went deep. Jamie remembered that, and he brought that knowledge from that locker room to this. The plan's coming together. That's all that's going on.
Pretty brutal right now, but Todd Frazier is up to bat with Luis Tiant on first and Nolan Reimold on third. Give me that Todd Frazier swing, Diaz.
He's either get a home run or double play that I error and then scores 3 runs.
49. So. It's a 49.
49, okay. And Xavier, the pitch?
3.
A 3. That is a 52 altogether. That is a strikeout by Kent DeCulvey. So we still got runners on the corners, bringing up Dexter Fowler for the 3rd time today here in the 3rd inning. Let's see what Dexter Fowler can do with 2 out and runners on the corners.
19.
Xavier, what is your D8 roll?
A 3.
That is a 22, and that is a hit by Dexter Fowler. Diaz, do please roll for what kind of hit this is. Hey, that's Dexter Fowler's first hit. He's struck out twice so far.
It's an 18.
Xavier, could you please give me a defense roll?
Yeah, you see this roll? It's going to be a 1. It's actually an 11. I'm going to throw my die from now on.
It's an 11. That reduces it 1 level. So only Nolan Reimold and Luis Tiant score.
Oh, great. It's only 10-1.
It is 10-1 as Dexter Fowler gets a double to bring them in. He is at second. It is not a triple that Diaz would have normally gotten with that 18. Ben Zobrist up to bat, runner in scoring position. Can he end it here?
I hope so. Please, God.
88.
7.
That is going to be a 95 total. Possible double play doesn't matter this time. In fact, I'm not going to make us roll for it, Xavier. It is just an out. It is a 95. It is an easy ground out from the 3rd baseman to the 1st baseman. But another big inning by the Down the Gunners. It is now 10-1 as we head to the top of the 4th. Xavier, Bernie Williams is up for you. Your first overall pick. Can he deliver anything?
Probably not. 50.
A 50 and the pitch. It's a 52. It's a strikeout by Luis Tiant. Ricky Weeks up to bat next.
That's a 6.
And a 2. Yeah. That's an 8. All right, that's a hit by Ricky Weeks. Let's see what kind of hit, Xavier. Come on.
It's going to be a 1.
It's only 9 runs.
A
No, a 1 is a single.
It's a 4.
It's a 4, which is also a single.
It's a critical single.
Defense by the 2nd baseman. Could you give me a defense roll? Ben Zobrist is making this play.
2.
A 2. That is an error. Runners taking extra base. Ricky Weeks takes the single. Ben Zobrist bobbles it, and Ricky Weeks is able to get into scoring position with 1 out for Scott Brosius, who knows a thing or two about clutch hits.
22.
It's a 22, and the pitch is a 2. That is a hit by Scott Brosius. Why don't you give me that hit roll, Xavier?
4. This is now the 4th time I've rolled 4 for a hit.
Yeah, and it is another single, but Ben Zobrist, a chance for redemption. Let's see.
1.
A 1. It is another error by Ben Zobrist. Ricky Weeks is able to leg it home, and Scott Brosius is on second now. 2 errors charged to Ben Zobrist in this inning alone, and that
The
means that
only way I can score.
it is 10-2. Hey, you've scored exclusively on singles at this point, yes, but you have gotten enough singles now. That means that Don Zimmer strides to the plate with 1 man on scoring position. It's only an 8-run game now. Only 1 out here in the 4th.
14.
It's a 14, and Diaz the pitch.
It's a 4.
Don Zimmer with an 18 gets a hit.
What do you want to bet that this is a 4 again?
I'll give you $1 if it is.
15 this time.
Okay, a 15. That will be a double if the right fielder does not make a spectacular play, but we do have a chance for Dexter Fowler to try and slide in for it. Let's see what he can do, Diaz. D12?
It's a 5.
It's a 5, no change. That double scores Scott Brosius, and now Don Zimmer is chilling there on second base. 3rd straight at bat for someone on second base with 1 out, as Jeremy Giambi now strides to the plate in a 7-run game, 10-3 for the Down the Gunners. What you got for us, Jeremy Giambi?
That's a 91.
Well, this is a possible double play. Let's go ahead and see. What is the pitch? A 3, a 94. It is grounded to the first baseman. I'm going to go ahead and say, while that's a possible play, I struggle to see how that could happen with the runner on second. So no double play. Still a guy at second base for Harvey Haddix now. Or no, I'm sorry, Kent DeCulvey. Kent DeCulvey's career
I think we can
batting
just kind of
average.
skip. It's 83.
Or you could always pull Kent DeCulvey and insert Eric Thames.
No.
Kent DeCulvey, go ahead and give me a roll.
76.
76, Diaz, just so we know what kind of out it is, why don't you let me know?
It's a 3.
Be a 79 total, which is a fly out to right field.
Made contact.
Great contact by Kent DeCulvey in a tough spot. Back out to the mound now. It is going to be the bottom of the 4th for the Down the Gunners, up 10-3. Kurt Flood is leading off the inning as he did last inning.
Still being booed by this crowd. They haven't come around yet. But maybe a hit. No, it's a 63.
And it's a 3 for me.
Okay, 66. It is an easy grounder to the shortstop. Matt Stairs, what you got for us?
63.
1.
64 that time, an easy ground out to the second baseman. And Damian Miller coming up, a chance for the first 1-2-3 inning of the game for Team Puerto Rico. Let's see what we've got. Damian Miller.
50.
5.
A 55 is another ground out to the infield. This time it is fielded by the third baseman. And yes, we do indeed have our first 3-up, 3-down inning for Team Puerto Rico. Excellent job by Kent DeCulvey, meaning that we get Darren Erstad taking his 3rd trip to the plate.
2.
8.
That is a 10 total for Darren Erstad. Not a critical hit, but it is a hit to lead off the inning. Let's see what it is, Xavier.
16.
A 16 is a double. No defense on it. Darren Erstad leads off the 5th with a double to get into scoring position with no outs for Ossie Schreckengast.
65.
2.
67, that is a fly out to left field. But Xavier, do you want to try and advance the runner?
No.
Okay, no problem. Then it is still 1 out and a runner on second for Bobby Bonilla.
89.
1.
89-1. That is a 90. It is a strikeout. And that is only, by the way, the 4th strikeout of the day for Luis Tiant. Most of this has been the fielding, which has been immaculate from the Down the Gunners. That brings up Bernie Williams with a guy in scoring position and 2 outs. The first overall pick so far has not yet reached base. Can he deliver one last indelible moment for Team Puerto Rico?
46.
4.
Bernie Williams gets his 2nd strikeout of the day. At this point, the Team Puerto Rico fans have joined in with the Philadelphia fans. The boos are positively raining down upon this field. In fact, I'm actually getting word from the grounds crew that there's so much of a rain of boos coming down that we are going to have to call the game due to rain here now that it is officially past the half of the 5th inning. That is going to be a final score after 5 innings today of 10-3. The Philadelphia Down the Gunners absolutely spanking Team Puerto Rico.
We got to change the name of this game. It's not Deadball.
Yeah, I mean, fuck
when Luis
me,
Tiant
right?
can have a home run, like Diaz had what 3 home runs plus
Google
a trip
gave
plus
him
a
great
triple.
rolls. That
I
is,
think
look,
it's 3 home runs plus a triple with an error making a 4th home run.
here's the thing, that's statistically improbable, but so is any team scoring 10 runs in baseball.
Listen, it's really just all about your roster construction, Xavier. You were too busy looking at the numbers. You were too busy looking at who had the higher averages.
I didn't pick who had the most dog in them that Google
You ignored
loves.
And that's why we batted Luis Tiant 8th, because we knew there was going to be a big moment and he was going to be ready. And what does he do? He hits a home run. Now, you can say it's luck that Luis Tiant hit a home run. And statistically, by the way this game is played, that's 100% accurate to say. But I don't care. Luis Tiant wanted it. He just wanted it more.
That was 1 by Nolan Reimold, 1 by Luis Tiant, and 2 by Damian Miller. My goodness. Couple walks issued, 3 total free passes for the Philadelphia Down the Gunners. I don't think any of your guys actually got walks, Xavier, but you did manage to get 6 total hits, 7 total hits. So it's just that Diaz left almost no runners on base whatsoever.
Dingers are what makes the world go round, so you know.
Dingers are what makes the world go round. And again, this has been us playing a little fast and loose with the game. I'm also sorry that we never were able to put a steal opportunity in there, but that's okay. Hey guys, that's Deadball. Thanks to the two of you for kind of indulging me in letting us play a little bit. Diaz, I hope this did not awaken anything deep within you. You did seem to enjoy it a little bit.
Listen, I really enjoy beating Xavier at games, no matter how experienced or not I am at them entering.
We appreciate you, listener, of course, for indulging us in that. A couple other thanks. Thanks to Evan for the germ of the idea of going out and finding this game, which I hope has made an episode that was at least somewhat entertaining to you all. Thank you once again to Connor Newcomb for joining us there during the intro. And of course, thank you to WM Akers. You can find all of his information on wmakers.net. Once again, super friendly guy, was super nice about us using the game for this. I highly recommend checking it out if you thought this was fun. Thank you, as always, to producer Craig's programming team, our musical director, Don Ham. And I already said it, but I'm going to say it again because I am particularly grateful for you, listeners, spending some time with us. You can check all of our information out at bit.ly/remember that guy, all lowercase, all one word. Folks, if you enjoyed one of us screaming about their hometown team, don't worry, we've got that for you next week, too. Although I will at least turn the mic over to Diaz so he can scream about his hometown Sixers just a little bit more.
Yeah, fun conversation with, let's keep the guest secret. It is a person with far too much authority within the online Sixers community for us to have gotten him on this podcast.
We'll be back next week. We hope you join us then.
Sorry, I couldn't make it a more interesting game.
I mean, here's what I'll say. It was certainly interesting. I think it's been an incredibly interesting time, and I am certain that during that time, I've been James.
I've been the very special guest, Xavier.
And I'm Diaz, and as Jimmy McGill once said, sometimes the good guys win.
Got it.